So this is the bike. It's a 2008 Suzuki V-Strom. Its other name is a DL1000. So just give you a walk around. So what I'll do is I'll show you everything that I've done to it since I've owned it since it was brand new. So it's a 2008, but I bought it brand new in 2009. So coming down here, these are Denali D2 driving lights. They're from Twisted Throttle. They're about $300 for these. They're really good lights. I don't know if you can see up here, but there's no fork oil leaking it or anything like that. On the back of the fender, I don't know if you can see this too, but this is an extension. It's just a fender extender, and it basically just adds a bit of protection against your oil cooler here. So this is the original windshield, but in behind there I installed what's called a Madstad bracket, and what that does is it allows you to raise or lower the windshield by about 3 inches, and it also gives you a little bit of an angle adjustment too. And then on top of that, what I did was I added this, which is called an X screen. So this X screen can move in, out, up, down, and you can tilt the angle. So this way, with this combination, no matter what size you are, you won't get any wind buffeting. You just have to dial this in for your height and you'll be all set. These are mirror extenders that I put on. In the stock position, I found that my elbows inhibited the view from the mirror, so this gives you a clear view behind you. And then one thing that I should mention is I installed this too. This is just a cigarette lighter adapter, and the reason for that is to power the GPS. So this is a motorcycle GPS. It is waterproof, so I'm including that in the price as well. In behind there's the heated grips. So there's 4 settings: 30%, 40%, 75, and 100. And the way I have this wired is through a fuse box on the battery. So if you turn the ignition off, this will turn off as well. It won't accidentally stay on. Don't ask me why I did that. What else is on here? So as I mentioned, the GPS, and there's a RAM mount here. So this is fully adjustable. There's another RAM mount here if you wanted to mount a cell phone or something, or switch this around to a different location. The handguards that came with the bike were just plastic. These are actual bark buster handguards. So they have a full aluminum backbone that comes all the way around. A lot better protection than the original ones. The tank bag. This is an SW Motec tank bag. It's called the City version. So I don't know if you can see that, but it actually doesn't sit on the tank at all, so it doesn't scratch. And the way in which this works is there's a pull cord at the front. So you pull the cord and it lifts off. And then what happens is you buy this ring here. This ring is specific to whatever bike that you buy. So it basically, this clamps onto this ring, so it keeps the tank bag off the tank, preventing any scratches. What else have we got? So these foot pegs are aftermarket. Again, they're SW Motec. They're a little stronger, a little sturdier. They've got the one benefit with this is for regular riding, they've got the rubber insert, but there's an Allen key at the bottom which you can remove, take the rubber insert off, and then there's a studded metal pad which gives you more traction if you're going off-road. Center stand, again, that was an option that I put on as well. Let's move back a bit. The chain and sprockets are brand new, both front and rear sprockets, and a brand new chain. And there is a brand new battery, which is like a week old, that I just put in there. This is an auxiliary brake light that I installed. So what happens here is when you apply the brakes, this pulsates and then goes solid. So it just attracts more attention to being rear-ended. It's also got integrated turn signals. So when the turn signals are on, either side of this will blink yellow as well. The luggage, all of the luggage is SW Motec. It's aluminum. It's called Trax Adventure. So the top case is 38 liters. This side case is 37 liters. This side case is 45 liters. They're lockable. The benefit about these ones is they're welded rather than riveted, so they're a lot more waterproof than some. And they've got a water seal around the edge. I also include these, they're dry bags, just to make sure nothing does get wet. You can add a net or a compartment up here if you wanted to as well. There's tie downs on all of them, so if you want to add even more luggage on top, you can. And they all lock to the custom frame mounts. So it's just a case of undoing the lock and then lifting it off. So it's very easy to remove them if you don't want them on. What else have we got? Nothing major, but there's a reflective rim tape there. I change the oil regardless after every 5,000 kilometers. So I do it on the, so right now it's got 60,000 on it, so it's just had an oil change, and then I would change it at 65, 70, 75, etc. It's also last year had a valve check. So they recommend every 25,000 for a valve check. So you're not going to need another valve check for at least until you hit 75, 80,000 kilometers. On this side here, this goes to a battery tender. So if you're storing the bike for more than a week, I do suggest you put it on the battery tender. It just keeps the battery topped up without overcharging it. And then I just usually stick that in there. On this side here, this is what's called a throttle locker. So when you're cruising for a long period of time, it just takes some of the force away from your wrist. And then this little gizmo here, it's actually a throttle lock. And the way this works is you're cruising along, you hit this against the front brake lever, it stays in position. So that works as long as you're on level ground, it'll maintain the correct speed. To disengage, you just simply push forward and it moves it again off the brake lever. Very simple but very effective. Something else that I have, but you can't see it, underneath this cowling I installed a Denali sound bomb, which is the loudest horn that you can get for a motorcycle. And that's how loud it is. So it sounds like an air horn. There you can see the mileage. And with these bikes, Mileage, you can get anywhere up to 300,000 miles off this engine as long as you change the oil on a regular basis. So yeah, that's pretty much it. The one thing that I did is these exhausts, the way they come is there's a pea shooter piece of metal that comes out to about here. And what that does is it makes this bike almost so you can't hear it when you're riding. And it was actually too quiet. So what I did is I took a Dremel and just cut it off inside here so that there's only about a centimeter left of that tube. So what happens now is it resonates within this end piece and it just gives you a bit more sound. At least with your helmet on, you can hear it now. So hang on a second, I'll start it up for you. The one thing I forgot to tell you are these. These are Mifo E07 tires. So you can tell they were installed last year, so they're pretty much brand new. I think they've only got about 600 kilometers on them. So these have a pretty aggressive tread pattern, if you can see that. So they're classified as almost like a 50-50 tire. So they're good on-road and they're good off-road. So that's the front, and that's the tread pattern on the back. And again, they were both installed last year, so they're pretty much brand new. Brake pads are still great. All the lights work. As I mentioned, the fork seal, there's nothing wrong with the fork seal. There's no rips or tears or anything in the seat. And the other big plus with this bike too is it uses regular gas. You don't have to use premium on this bike at all, which with the price of gas now, it just save you a fair bit of money. Anyway, that's about it. Let me know if you got any questions.